The prison we call Earth, extended. Humanity had always gazed upward at the stars, envisioning an endless expanse of possibilities. The night sky was both a source of wonder and isolation. For centuries, humans looked up and dreamed of reaching out, to make contact, to connect with beings from beyond the blue skies of Earth. There was a constant belief that somewhere, out there in the deep vastness of space, existed neighbors, other civilizations waiting to welcome them. Yet, for all of humanity's technological advancements, they remained earthbound, forever stuck within their small blue marble in the vast sea of space. It was a place of paradox. Earth was both a cradle of life and a prison, a sanctuary that had provided for the flourishing of human civilization but also trapped them in a never-ending loop of isolation. Dr. Maya Lorne, a renowned xenoarchaeologist at the Intergalactic Research Institute, had dedicated her life to unraveling the mystery of Earth's true place in the cosmos. She was no ordinary scientist. Her curiosity extended far beyond the mundane. It reached into the very core of humanity's existence. She had always felt that Earth's status as the only known inhabited planet was more than just coincidence. It was a mystery, one that science had long failed to answer. Her colleagues often dismissed her as a dreamer. "We're trapped here, Maya, but it's a result of nature's design, our evolution. Nothing more," they would say. But Maya couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more, something she wasn't seeing, something humanity had yet to understand. Her pursuit of knowledge led her to unearth something unexpected, something hidden deep in the forbidden corners of the galaxy. She had long suspected that Earth's isolation was no accident. But what she uncovered would shatter everything humanity had believed about their existence. It all began when Maya was assigned a research project that took her to a desolate, forgotten world on the outskirts of the Andromeda Galaxy. It was a planet so distant that it had never been mapped by human eyes. And yet, there, lying in the ruins of an ancient civilization, Maya discovered an artifact, a relic unlike anything she'd ever seen. The object was unlike the technology humanity had ever encountered. It was ancient, but its design hinted at a level of sophistication that far surpassed anything humanity had achieved. The artifact emitted a faint pulse of energy, barely detectable but powerful enough to cause a strange resonance in Maya's mind. As she examined it, her pulse quickened, and an instinctive feeling crept over her. This object was important. It wasn't just a relic of a lost civilization, it was a key. This key unlocked a set of alien writings on the walls of the ruins. At first glance, they appeared to be nothing more than cryptic symbols, almost like a language that humans couldn't decipher. But as Maya continued her studies, she realized the language wasn't meant to be translated, it was meant to be understood on a deeper level, one that involved more than words. It was as if the symbols resonated with the very fabric of reality. After months of rigorous study, Maya made a breakthrough. The artifact was a part of an ancient communication device. But this was no ordinary device, it was a prison signal. And Earth, according to the ancient alien texts, was not an isolated planet but a contained zone. It was a world sealed off from the rest of the galaxy, imprisoned by forces far older and more powerful than anything humanity could comprehend. The truth was unfathomable. Earth, humanity's home, wasn't just isolated by distance, it was isolated by design. The artifact she had uncovered was a message from an ancient empire that had fallen into obscurity long before humans had ever evolved. This empire, once a dominant force in the galaxy, had created containment zones on various worlds, Earth being one of them. As Maya began to piece together more of the alien writings, the chilling truth started to form. Earth wasn't a sanctuary, it was a prison. And humanity, the species that had evolved here, had never once questioned why they couldn't escape. The more she dug, the more horrifying the revelations became. The containment was not meant to protect the inhabitants of Earth. No, Earth was a holding pen for something far more dangerous. Something the ancient empire had kept locked away for millennia, and that something was still out there, beyond the reaches of human understanding. Her research soon uncovered that the empire who had once ruled this part of the galaxy had been an ancient and powerful species known as the Elders. The Elders were beings of unimaginable power, their technology capable of manipulating time, space, and reality itself. They had seen Earth as a place of containment, a world that held something far more dangerous than any civilization could ever fathom. And they had created the prison that was Earth, ensuring that whatever lay hidden in the planet's depths would never escape. The moment the realization hit, Maya understood something else: humanity was not the guardians of Earth. They were its prisoners. A species born, raised, and bound by invisible chains, their existence carefully monitored and controlled by forces beyond their understanding. The artifact, she realized, was not just a message, it was a warning. A final warning from the Elders. Someone, or something, was coming. The Elders had sealed Earth off from the rest of the galaxy for a reason, and that reason was about to resurface. The galaxy was not ready for what lay beneath the surface of Earth, and neither was humanity. But Maya also understood something else: if the Elders had kept this secret hidden for so long, they were not the only ones with the power to do so. There were forces at play here, beyond the Elders, forces that had kept humanity in the dark for centuries. Forces that would stop at nothing to ensure that Earth's secret remained buried. Her discovery had just scratched the surface. The true journey was only beginning, and it would lead humanity down a path they were not prepared for. A path where the lines between prisoner and warden, hero and villain, would blur. As Maya packed the artifact and returned to her research lab, a sense of dread gnawed at her. She knew the answers would only lead to more questions, and the truth would be far more dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The hidden chains. Maya stood in the sterile, cold confines of her research lab, staring at the artifact that had changed everything. The small, ancient object sat on a pedestal in front of her, pulsing faintly with energy, as though it were alive. She couldn't help but feel that it was watching her, waiting for her to unlock its final secret. The alien writings she had translated danced in her mind, their cryptic warnings echoing in the quiet of the room. The walls of the lab were lined with monitors displaying data streams, but Maya couldn't tear her eyes away from the artifact. She felt a compulsion to touch it again, to seek out the hidden truth that lay within it. But something told her that the more she uncovered, the more perilous the path would become. There were forces at play here that she had no understanding of, and every step she took toward the truth felt like a step closer to a terrifying unknown. Her mind raced with possibilities, but one thing stood out above all: Earth was not a sanctuary, it was a prison. The ancient texts she had uncovered made it clear that Earth was part of a vast network of containment zones scattered across the galaxy. But what exactly was being contained? That question lingered like a heavy weight in her chest. The Elders, the ancient race responsible for Earth's isolation, had sealed off this planet for a reason. And whatever that reason was, it was something that humanity was not prepared for. Maya spent the following days poring over the data, analyzing every piece of information she had gathered. The more she uncovered, the more it became apparent that Earth's role in this galactic prison system was far more significant than she had imagined. The Elders had constructed their containment zones to trap something powerful, something that could reshape the universe itself. And Earth, in its innocence, had become the final holdout, the last place where this dangerous entity was hidden. As Maya dug deeper into the ancient texts, she discovered a chilling pattern. The containment zones were not just physical barriers, they were also temporal. Time on Earth had been manipulated to keep humanity unaware of the vast galaxy around them. The Elders had created a barrier that distorted the flow of time, trapping Earth in a continuous cycle of self-contained evolution. But why? Why would a race so powerful feel the need to isolate an entire planet from the rest of the cosmos? The answer was becoming clearer, but the implications were terrifying. It wasn't just Earth that had been isolated, the Elders had systematically erased all evidence of the greater universe. Every trace of galactic history, every record of alien civilizations, had been wiped from humanity's collective memory. The humans who lived on Earth had no idea what lay beyond their world, no idea that there were other races, other cultures, and other planets scattered across the stars. The Elders had created an amnesia that kept humanity in the dark, locked in their self-imposed prison. The artifact she had discovered was the first key to unlocking the truth, but it was only the beginning. Maya knew that if she could find the remaining pieces of the puzzle, she could expose the vast conspiracy that had been orchestrated over millennia. But the more she learned, the more dangerous it became. She was no longer just uncovering forgotten history, she was unearthing a galactic conspiracy, a web of secrets that could unravel the very fabric of existence. As Maya made plans to continue her research, she realized that she couldn't do this alone. She needed help, someone who could assist her in deciphering the last remnants of the Elder's knowledge. Her first thought was to contact her old colleague, Dr. Caden West, an expert in alien archaeology and technology. Caden had been a mentor to her early in her career, and his vast knowledge of alien cultures made him an ideal ally in this dangerous pursuit. However, Maya knew that reaching out to Caden was not without risk. The moment she shared her findings with him, there was no turning back. Her research had already attracted the attention of powerful forces within the Intergalactic Research Institute, and revealing the full scope of her discovery could bring unwanted scrutiny. The institute was not exactly known for its commitment to truth. They were more concerned with maintaining the status quo, ensuring that humanity remained in control of their own destiny, or what they believed was their destiny. The last thing they would want was for Maya to uncover a truth that could shatter everything they had worked to protect. But Maya had no choice. She needed Caden. Late one evening, she sent him a secure message, coded with a series of complex encryptions to ensure that no one could intercept their conversation. She knew that if anyone discovered what she was about to reveal, they would do everything in their power to stop her. The message was simple but urgent: "I found the truth. Earth is not what we thought. We're not alone, and we've never been free." Hours later, her message was returned with a single line of text. "Meet me at the old colony station on Titan. Bring the artifact." Maya's heart raced as she read the response. Titan, Saturn's largest moon, was home to a long-abandoned human colony. It was a place where researchers and archaeologists often went to escape the prying eyes of the Institute. No one would bother them there. And yet, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that the stakes had just become much higher. There were forces at play, forces far beyond anything she could have imagined, that would do anything to keep the truth from getting out. She packed her things in haste, securing the artifact in a protective case. As she made her way to the transport dock, she couldn't help but feel the weight of the discovery pressing down on her. Earth wasn't the isolated paradise humanity had always believed it to be. It was a prison, and they had been its captives for eons. As her ship launched into space, heading for Titan, Maya's mind raced with the possibilities. Could they stop whatever was coming? Would humanity ever understand the full extent of their captivity? And most importantly, what lay beyond the stars that had been hidden from them for so long? The answers, she knew, were out there. But the truth would not come without sacrifice. The secrets beneath Titan. Maya's ship cut through the darkened void of space, headed for the distant moon of Titan. The hum of the engines was the only sound that filled the cabin, but in her mind, there was a cacophony of thoughts and fears. As the shuttle passed through Saturn's rings, she could see the pale, yellowish moon growing larger in the viewport. Titan, a once thriving human colony now abandoned, would offer the privacy she needed to continue her work. But even there, amidst the desolation, Maya could sense that the walls of this secretive world were closing in around her. She had taken the first step toward the truth, but she had no way of knowing just how dangerous it was becoming. The communication from Dr. Caden West had been clear: "Meet me on Titan. Bring the artifact." It had been years since Maya had seen Caden. He was a brilliant archaeologist, once her mentor and confidant, but their paths had diverged after a falling out within the Intergalactic Research Institute. Caden had always been the more cautious of the two, favoring subtlety and careful research over direct confrontation. Maya, however, had always been more driven by the truth, even when it meant risking her career and safety. Now, with the gravity of her discovery weighing heavily on her shoulders, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that their reunion might be one of necessity. She needed Caden's expertise more than ever, but there was another part of her that worried how he would react when he learned the full scope of the discovery. The truth was too vast, too unsettling to be contained in a single artifact. But once it was shared, there was no turning back. Titan's surface appeared before her, a distant world of orange-brown hues, surrounded by hazy clouds of methane and nitrogen. The abandoned colony lay deep beneath the surface, tucked away in a forgotten cavern that had once been used for scientific research and clandestine experiments. The once bustling hub for scientific innovation had become a ghost town, its buildings now empty and silent, long since overtaken by the harsh elements of Titan's atmosphere. As the shuttle landed in a makeshift docking bay, Maya felt a surge of both relief and trepidation. Titan was a place where no one would ask questions, where people could come and go without attracting unwanted attention. But she also knew that any visit to this remote location would raise suspicions among the Institute's watchful eyes. Her boots echoed as she stepped out of the shuttle, the air around her thin and bitterly cold. She was met by Caden's familiar figure, standing just outside a small entrance to the colony. His face, weathered by years of research and solitude, broke into a tight-lipped smile as he saw her approach. "Maya," Caden said, his voice low but carrying a sense of urgency. "It's been too long. I'm glad you made it." Maya didn't waste time with pleasantries. She walked straight toward him, holding up the artifact. "I have something that will change everything," she said. This is just the beginning." Caden raised an eyebrow, taking the artifact from her hands with a reverent touch. As his fingers brushed the surface, the faint pulse of energy in the object seemed to intensify, sending a shiver down Maya's spine. He studied it for a long moment, his expression unreadable. "I've been following your work, Maya," Caden finally said. "But I never imagined it would lead to something like this." "I didn't either," Maya replied. "I thought Earth's isolation was just a natural consequence of our evolution. But I was wrong. Earth isn't isolated by accident. It's isolated for a reason. And it's not just our planet that's being kept under wraps." Caden paused, looking at her with a mixture of disbelief and curiosity. "What are you saying? That Earth is some kind of prison?" "Exactly," Maya said, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it's worse than that. I've uncovered evidence of an ancient galactic empire, the Elders. They created containment zones on various planets, Earth being one of them. And whatever is being kept here is far too dangerous to let out. We're not prisoners in the traditional sense, Caden. We're the jailers, unknowingly guarding something that could destroy everything." Caden's gaze hardened. This is unbelievable. But if it's true, then what are we dealing with here? What could be so dangerous that the Elders felt the need to lock it away? "I don't know yet," Maya admitted. "But I think we're getting closer to the answer. And that's why we can't stop now. Whatever is out there, whatever's coming. We need to be ready." Caden looked at her with a thoughtful expression, as if weighing the weight of her words. "You know, there are people who would kill for this information, Maya. The Institute is always watching. If they find out about your research—" "They already know," Maya interrupted. "And they've already tried to stop me. That's why I came to you, Caden. I need your help. We have to finish what I started." The silence between them was heavy, and Caden seemed to contemplate her words carefully. Finally, he nodded. "All right. Let's get to work. But we'll have to be careful. The Institute isn't the only one we need to worry about." Maya's heart skipped a beat. "What do you mean?" "I've been following something strange," Caden said. "There are whispers of a covert group within the Institute, an elite faction that's aware of the Elders' legacy. And they're not just trying to keep the truth hidden, they want to control it. They've been monitoring your movements for months, Maya. I'm not sure if they're just trying to silence you, or if they're waiting for the right moment to strike." Maya's mind raced. It was worse than she thought. The truth was out there, but it wasn't just a matter of discovering it anymore, it was a race to see who would control it. The Institute was now the least of her concerns. She had no idea who these shadowy figures were, but their goals seemed to be aligned with the very forces that had sealed Earth away from the rest of the galaxy. And if they had their hands on the artifact, there would be no stopping them. "We need to act fast," Maya said, her voice steely with resolve. "The longer we wait, the greater the danger." Caden agreed, and together, they began to work on decoding the last remnants of the Elders' knowledge. As they delved deeper into the artifact, they realized something terrifying: the artifact wasn't just a message. It was a key, and it was linked to something buried deep beneath Earth's surface. Something ancient. Something powerful. The truth about Earth's isolation was only the beginning. As they uncovered more pieces of the puzzle, they realized that the fate of humanity was tied to a force much greater than anything they had ever imagined. And that force was waking up. Unveiling the truth beneath Earth's surface. Maya felt the weight of the artifact growing heavier with each passing hour. The more they studied it, the clearer it became that this was no ordinary relic. It hummed with energy, a pulse that seemed to resonate with something ancient, something buried deep within the very core of Earth itself. She and Caden had set up a small laboratory in one of the abandoned underground chambers of Titan's colony, the walls lined with data pads, holographic projections, and old research notes. The room felt eerily cold, the kind of sterile environment where the air felt as though it had been untouched for centuries. Caden had been busy running the artifact through every possible diagnostic tool, scanning its surface for hidden frequencies and unknown materials. "There's something odd about the molecular structure," he said, his voice filled with awe. "It's not just old, this thing is alive in some way. It's like it's been designed to interact with something." Maya stood beside him, her mind racing. Interact with what? Caden didn't respond immediately. Instead, he continued to focus on the data displayed in front of them. The readings were unlike anything they'd encountered before. Every scan sent ripples through the air, as though the artifact itself was reacting to their presence. It was both thrilling and terrifying. Maya knew that they were on the verge of uncovering something monumental. But the deeper they dug, the more dangerous it became. "We need to move quickly," Maya said, a sense of urgency creeping into her tone. "If the Institute's covert faction is watching us, we can't afford to waste time. We need to find the answers before they catch up with us." Caden nodded, his face set with determination. "Agreed. But first, we need to understand what this artifact really is. It's more than a relic, Maya. It's a key to something much bigger than we realize." As Caden spoke, Maya couldn't shake the feeling that they were playing with forces far beyond their understanding. But her curiosity, and the need to protect humanity from whatever was hidden beneath Earth's surface, kept her from turning back. The next few days were spent poring over the artifact, attempting to decode its cryptic messages. With each breakthrough, they uncovered more unsettling information. The artifact wasn't just a message from the past, it was a warning. A warning from the elders about something that had been buried deep within Earth's core, a force too powerful to be contained for much longer. But there was more. The artifact had also been designed to activate a series of mechanisms scattered across the planet, each linked to a specific location. There was one near the equator, another beneath the icy reaches of Antarctica, and one deep within the Amazon rainforest. Caden had been the one to suggest they travel to one of these locations. "We can't just sit here, hoping to uncover the full picture through scans. The answers are on Earth. We have to go to these sites." Maya agreed. The next step was inevitable. But they both knew that whatever they would find, it would alter the course of human history forever. It wasn't long before they managed to pinpoint the coordinates for the first location, the Amazon. It was there that the largest and most intricate part of the ancient technology lay hidden. But reaching it wouldn't be simple. The planet was no longer a welcoming place. The Institute's surveillance network had only become more sophisticated, and it wouldn't be long before they were caught. Even more troubling was the shadowy faction within the Institute that Caden had warned her about. They were everywhere, watching, waiting. Maya's heart was heavy with the realization that their journey to uncover the truth was about to take them into the heart of one of the most dangerous zones on Earth. The Amazon was no longer the lush, vibrant ecosystem it once was. Over the years, the rise of private military contractors and global corporations had ravaged the region, cutting down forests and leaving behind a landscape of destruction. But within that chaos, something still lay hidden, something far more valuable than the resources that had been plundered. The shuttle to Earth was a low-profile model, designed to avoid detection by the Institute's satellites. It was a risky move, but it was their only option. As they descended through Earth's atmosphere, Maya felt her pulse quicken. The artifact, securely stored in a protective case, sat beside her on the seat, a constant reminder of the monumental responsibility she now carried. The rainforest below seemed to stretch endlessly, the dense canopy a mix of green and brown, disrupted only by the occasional clearing where illegal logging operations had taken root. But Maya knew that the true location of the artifact was far beneath that sprawling forest. It was a place lost to time, hidden by the elders themselves. A place untouched by human hands. Once they landed, Maya and Caden ventured into the depths of the jungle. The air was thick with humidity, and the sounds of the wildlife around them felt almost oppressive. They carried only the essentials, data pads, a few weapons for protection, and the artifact, which Maya kept close, as though it could somehow guide her through the dense underbrush. They traveled for days, following a trail that led them deeper into the jungle than any human had dared to go in recent years. Along the way, they encountered strange symbols carved into the trunks of ancient trees, markings that seemed to mirror the ones found on the artifact. Maya was certain they were on the right path, but she also couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. Then, one evening, as they camped near a waterfall, the ground beneath their feet began to tremble. Maya and Caden exchanged a look of alarm. "What was that?" Maya whispered. Caden's eyes were wide, scanning the treeline. That wasn't natural. Suddenly, figures emerged from the shadows. Tall, cloaked in dark, military-grade uniforms, and carrying weapons that glinted in the dim light. The soldiers were not from the Institute, Maya realized, but from the covert faction Caden had mentioned. They had found them. Before they could react, the leader of the group spoke. "We've been watching you," he said, his voice deep and menacing. "You've come too far. It's time to end this." Maya and Caden immediately drew their weapons, but the odds were against them. The soldiers moved swiftly, surrounding them with precision. It was clear that this faction had been anticipating their every move, and now, it was too late to turn back. The truth they sought to reveal was slipping through their fingers, and the forces that had once remained hidden were now in pursuit, ready to claim the artifact for their own. Maya's mind raced. The artifact was more than just a key to Earth's history, it was now a weapon that could change everything. And if it fell into the wrong hands, there would be no hope for humanity's future. The only option left was to fight. To survive. The battle for Earth's secrets. Maya's breath caught in her chest as the group of soldiers closed in. The air was thick with tension, the sound of the waterfall rushing beside them almost drowned out by the heavy footsteps of their pursuers. She glanced at Caden, his face set in a grim line, his hand hovering over the weapon at his side. The odds were stacked against them. Maya and Caden were outnumbered, and even though they had the element of surprise for a split second, it wouldn't be enough to hold off these well-trained soldiers for long. "What do you want with the artifact?" Maya demanded, her voice cutting through the tension. She raised her weapon, aiming it at the nearest soldier, but the leader stepped forward, his eyes cold and calculating. "It's not just about the artifact, Maya," the leader said, his voice low but forceful. "It's about control. Control over the planet, control over the future. You have no idea what you've stumbled upon." Maya's heart skipped a beat. She had known there was more at play here than just the artifact, but hearing it from the soldier's lips confirmed her worst fears. They weren't just dealing with a faction of rogue scientists or military contractors, they were up against a force that sought to reshape humanity's future, to keep Earth's true nature a secret from the rest of the galaxy. They were after total dominion over the planet and its hidden history. "Who are you?" Caden asked, his voice steady despite the overwhelming situation. "What's your true agenda?" The leader of the soldiers smirked. "We've been watching humanity for centuries, manipulating events to keep the truth hidden. But you..." He pointed a gloved finger at Maya and Caden. "You've awakened something that was never meant to be discovered. You think the artifact is just a key? It's much more than that. It's a tool, a weapon of unimaginable power." Maya felt a shiver run down her spine. "A weapon," she whispered. "But how?" The leader's gaze darkened. "You're not the first ones to find it. Many have come before you, trying to uncover its secrets. Most have failed. But you're different. You're curious." Maya could see it in his eyes. They weren't just after the artifact, they were after the knowledge, the power contained within it. And they weren't going to stop until it was in their hands. The truth Maya and Caden had uncovered about the Elders, the ancient civilization that had once controlled Earth, was no longer just an academic pursuit. It was the key to something far more dangerous. Maya's mind raced. The truth, the terrifying truth, was that humanity wasn't just isolated on Earth, it was contained. Trapped. The artifact had been left behind as a warning, and now, the faction wanted to ensure that warning was silenced. But if it was a weapon, then the world as they knew it could be destroyed, everything could change. Enough talk, Caden said, breaking the silence that had settled over them. We're not handing over the artifact. We'll fight for it, if we must. Maya nodded. There was no turning back now. They had come too far, uncovered too much. And the artifact was the only thing standing between humanity's freedom and its doom. Without warning, the soldiers surged forward, and Maya and Caden were forced to react quickly. The sound of gunfire echoed through the jungle as their weapons discharged, the impact sending shockwaves through the dense air. Caden ducked behind a large rock formation as bullets zipped by him, narrowly missing his head. Maya moved instinctively, rolling behind cover and returning fire. Her shots were precise, taking down the soldiers closest to her, but the leader and his team were relentless. They had the upper hand in experience, and the jungle, dense with foliage, provided them with plenty of hiding spots. We need to fall back, Maya shouted, her voice barely audible over the chaos. She glanced at Caden, who was already retreating toward a small cave system nearby. If they didn't get to cover, they'd be overwhelmed. Caden shot back at the enemy, providing just enough cover for them to escape into the relative safety of the cave. Once inside, Maya took a moment to catch her breath, the adrenaline still pumping through her veins. The dim light from the data pad illuminated the rocky interior of the cave, and she could hear Caden pacing back and forth, clearly agitated. They'll be right behind us, Caden said, frustration creeping into his voice. We need to figure out how to get out of here before they come for us again. Maya nodded, wiping the sweat from her brow. The walls of the cave felt cold, almost as though they were closing in on her. They were running out of options. Every second that passed increased the danger. The soldiers wouldn't stop, they would continue hunting them down until they either had the artifact or destroyed it. But Maya wasn't about to let that happen. She thought back to the time they spent deciphering the artifact, the strange patterns, the energy it emitted. The artifact wasn't just a key to Earth's past, it was also a map, a guide to the locations where the rest of the ancient technology had been hidden. The faction was hunting them because they knew Maya and Caden were close to unlocking something that could change everything. We need to finish what we started, Maya said, her voice resolute. If we don't, the truth will die with us. Caden looked at her, his face drawn and tired. You're right. But how? We can't stay here and keep running. We need a plan. Maya's mind worked quickly. There was only one way to get out of this alive, by using the artifact to their advantage. She had a theory, one that had been nagging at her ever since they uncovered the artifact's potential to activate the hidden mechanisms beneath the Earth's surface. Perhaps, just perhaps, if they could harness the power of the artifact, they could gain access to the very secrets the faction sought to bury. But to do that, they would need to get to the next location. The one in Antarctica. It was there that the final piece of the puzzle lay. The only way out is forward, Maya said, determination hardening her resolve. We need to make our way to Antarctica. There's something there that could turn the tide. Caden looked at her, eyes wide with disbelief. Antarctica? You're saying we can just walk into the most heavily guarded place on Earth? Maya's lips curved into a small smile. You underestimate humanity's ingenuity. We'll figure it out. With no other choice, Maya and Caden made their escape from the cave, their path now clear but fraught with peril. The true battle for Earth's future had only just begun, and the artifact was the key to unlocking the power that could either save or destroy everything they knew, the frozen abyss. We're getting close, Maya said, her voice barely audible over the wind. She scanned the horizon, her eyes narrowing. They had been traveling for hours, and the exhaustion was starting to set in. But the weight of their mission kept her going. The further they ventured, the more she could feel the artifact's energy pulsing in her bag, guiding them toward their goal. Maya gave him a wry smile. You should have seen it in the jungle. He chuckled softly, but the humor didn't reach his eyes. Both knew that the stakes here were higher than ever. The soldiers they had narrowly escaped were still tracking them, and with every passing minute, they grew closer. This was the last place on Earth they could afford to fail, the last chance to stop the faction's deadly plot. The landscape around them seemed endless, a vast stretch of white that blended into the gray sky above. The only signs of life were the occasional footprints in the snow left by the soldiers or the few explorers who had ventured into this desolate region long before. Maya had no illusions about how dangerous this place was. It wasn't just the hostile environment, there was something else here. A presence. An ancient energy that seemed to pulse beneath the earth, as if the planet itself was holding its breath. "We need to move faster," Caden said, his voice urgent. "I don't think we have much time." Maya nodded, pushing herself to her feet as she glanced at the artifact. It had become heavier as they moved, a constant reminder of the responsibility that weighed on her shoulders. The soldiers weren't the only ones who wanted it, the very forces of nature seemed to be reacting to its presence. The artifact's power was beginning to awaken something buried deep beneath the ice. "Do you feel that?" Caden asked, his face pale. "We're almost there," Maya said, her voice steady despite the growing sense of dread. "Just a little further." They trudged through the snow, pushing past ice formations and jagged rocks that jutted out from the ground like frozen teeth. Every step felt harder than the last, but the promise of the hidden site pushed them onward. The artifact had led them to this point, and now, it was up to them to unlock its secrets. When Maya finally landed, it was not the hard, icy ground she had expected. Instead, she crashed into a soft, damp surface, the air stale and thick with the scent of something ancient. She groaned, trying to push herself up, but her body felt like lead. The cold was suffocating, the icy winds howling from above. "Maya!" Caden's voice echoed through the darkness, followed by a loud thud as he landed beside her. "I'm fine," she muttered, struggling to sit up. Her head throbbed, and her vision blurred for a moment, but she forced herself to focus. They had fallen into a hidden chamber beneath the ice, a vast cavern that stretched out before them in all directions. Caden stood slowly, brushing the snow and ice off his jacket. "What is this place?" "I think it's more than just a site," Maya said, her voice barely a whisper. "This is a tomb. A burial site for the elders. The ones who built the empire. They were buried here, along with the secrets of their civilization." Caden moved cautiously toward the center of the cavern, where a massive stone altar stood. It was covered in ancient carvings, each one more intricate than the last. The altar itself seemed to hum with energy, and Maya felt the artifact's pulse grow stronger, urging her forward. "This is it," Caden said, his voice reverberating through the cavern. "This is where it all began." Maya nodded, her heart pounding. She could feel the connection between the altar and the artifact growing stronger, the two forces pulling her toward each other. The chamber was filled with an overwhelming sense of history, of ancient power that had been dormant for millennia. They had found the heart of the fallen empire. She approached the altar slowly, holding the artifact in her hand. The moment her fingers brushed against its surface, a surge of energy shot through her, lighting up the chamber with an intense glow. The symbols on the wall shifted, rearranging themselves as the artifact hummed in her hand, resonating with the power buried deep beneath the ice. "It's alive," Caden whispered, awe in his voice. Maya didn't answer. She was too focused on the artifact, on the way it seemed to be unlocking something within the chamber. Slowly, the walls parted, revealing a hidden passageway that descended even deeper into the earth. It was the final secret, the last step toward unlocking the truth behind humanity's imprisonment. The moment she stepped into the passage, a voice echoed in her mind, an ancient, distant voice, speaking in a language she didn't understand. But somehow, she knew the words. "Earth was never your home. You were never meant to be free." Maya shuddered, the chilling words sinking into her very soul. She had known that Earth was not their true home, but hearing it confirmed, spoken by the voice of the elders themselves, filled her with dread. She was about to uncover the truth of humanity's place in the universe, and it was a truth that could break everything.